Alright, hello, citizens of the Nigelverse. It is Niger once again. Now, I debated on whether or not I wanted to do this video, mainly because nothing's been confirmed yet, nothing's been set in stone yet. It's still speculation mixed with a dash of copium. But if we are in fact getting news of a Spyro 4 like it's been rumored to, for starters, it probably won't be until 2028, or at least even if it's announced this year or maybe next year, it probably won't be a thing really until 2028. Mainly because that's the 30th anniversary of Spyro. And yeah, not everything always comes out on the anniversary, but that seemed like it would be the perfect time for something like that. So I think if we are in fact going to get a Spyro 4, it would probably be during that. That would probably be the ideal time, at least to them. But if we are in fact getting a Spyro 4, what kind of things could we expect to see in the game? Well, that's what I'm here to discuss. So, I have a list of potential predictions for Spyro 4 if we do in fact get a Spyro 4. Or now I've done something kind of similar to this, a discussion video similar to this in the past. That was a little while ago, but I figured I'd make it more airtight, more concise in a way, so that's why we have this video. Now, full disclaimer, before we get into this video, these are just speculations. These are predictions slash a little bit of wish listing on my part. That means all of these could be in Spyro 4, most of these could be in Spyro 4, some of these could be in Spyro 4, or none of these could be in Spyro 4. I don't know. I'm just here to wish list slash predict. But without further ado, let's get right into this list. Starting with number one on the list. That being that we may hit all the playable characters from the original trilogy. Now, those playable characters include Spyro the Dragon, obviously, Sparks the Dragonfly, Hunter the Cheetah, Sheila the kangaroo, Sergeant Bird the penguin, Bentley the yeti, and Agent Nine the monkey. He and in addition to those playable characters, we may also get. I'm adding two other playable characters, at least to this part of the list. There will be a couple others as we go down the list, but the other two that I think they probably could, or hence sometimes maybe, hence in some cases maybe even should add, are Bianca and Moneybags. Now, Bianca as a playable character, that's something that people have wanted for quite some time, especially because with her magic spells and everything, there is a lot of mileage that they could get out of the character. And if Crash 4 is anything to go by, and you're going to be hearing Crash 4 a lot in the course of this video, so stay tuned. But if Crash 4 is anything to go by, then and having characters who had roles in previous games, or in this case, Spyro 3 and Spyro Into the Dragonfly, but we don't talk about that one. But anyway, hey, bringing her back as a playable character, I think, would be really, really cool. Especially, like I said, with her magic spells, there is a lot of creativity they could have with the character. There's a lot of things they could do. I think it'd be really interesting to see what they do with the character if they have her as a actual playable character. And then Moneybags probably not, but it would still be kind of funny. Like you could you can give him a kind of goofy comedic comedic play style. You could have him hit enemies with his bag of gems. You can he even has some magic spells of his own. Oh no, if you remember, not just from Spyro 3, but from Enter the Dragonfly. Not even the last time you're gonna hear Enter the Dragonfly on this list either, so stay tuned for that. But you can have that. He was a former boxer, at least according to him, so you can have him do stuff like that as well. So having Moneybags as a playable character, probably not gonna happen, but it would be kind of goofy and kind of funny. But Bianca, especially, I think they would probably most likely do. And also, this is going to be an almost guaranteed. I think we're going to separate these into three different categories. Is the items on this list. That being very likely, most likely, somewhat likely, and not unlikely. That's four. My apologies. So, we have very likely, most likely, somewhat likely, and not likely. Very likely being it's almost guaranteed. Most likely being there's a very good chance. Somewhat likely meaning I could see it being in the game, and then not likely meaning it's probably not going to happen. So this one's very likely. But number two on this list, this one automatically is probably going to be a not likely, but that being the reintroduction slash return of Blink the Mole. Oh, now you may be wondering, Nigel, Blink the Mole from Spyro, A Hero's Tale, a character that played terribly, that people didn't like, that was kind of annoying, that was the professor's nephew. Why would they bring him into the game? Now, I know it sounds kind of scary, but think about it. Other characters have been reintroduced when they do like reboots and stuff like that. And bringing back Blink the Mole, giving him a fresh coat of paint, tweaking his playstyle. For the most part, his playstyle in Hero's Tale isn't bad. It just needs some tweaking, honestly. But having Blink the Mole come back, maybe giving him a different backstory, maybe fleshing him out a little bit more, I think would be kind of a cool idea. It'd be kind of an interesting route. And also, I did want to mention with Hunter, if they brought him back as a playable character, giving him something similar to his sections in Hero's Tale, I think would be pretty cool, but we'll have to wait and see if they do that. But I think Blink the Mole returning, if done right, could be something, could be interesting. Like I said, I don't hate his character. Like the wrist gauntlets and the bombs, cool idea on paper. It's just some of the execution wasn't the best. But if you bring him back, just give him better execution when it comes to his abilities and everything, and you got yourself a pretty decent, fun, playable character. But number three on the list, this is a most likely, that being that our lovely cast of characters will return to the Dragon Realms. Now, technically speaking, if the rest of the series is not canon, and if this is a brand new start, or technically the last time we were in the Dragon Realms in terms of the original trilogy was in Spyro 1, obviously Spyro 2, who took place in Avalar, and then Spyro 3, I should say, took place in the Forgotten Realms. But having a return to the Dragon Realm, I think, would be pretty cool, especially bringing back the rest of the older dragons that were in the original game, and seeing some of them again, seeing some of their interactions in this new game, I think would be pretty cool. Also, having a return to the Dragon Realm, and then having whoever the main villain is going to be, and we'll get to that, threaten the Dragon Realms once again. Seeing the dragons get involved, I think, would be kind of a cool idea. They can even do something different or unique with the Dragon Realms. Now, if we do return to the Dragon Realms, I imagine we'd probably get the return of some levels from the original Spyro game. But I imagine they may throw in a couple new ones as well. But we will wait and see. But number four, or heard that on this list, is that this game will have a new collectible. Now, this is very likely. Because you have to remember, even though Spyro is a platformer, he is also or the game, I should say. Even though Spyro is a platformer, at its heart is also a collectathon. Spyro collects a lot of things, whether it's gems, whether it's dragon eggs, whether it's orbs, or whether it's light gems like in Hero's Tale. Also, having a new collectible, or even the dragonflies from Enter the Dragonfly. Introducing a new collectible, something else for Spyro to get. It does seem very likely considering the aforementioned collectathon nature of Spyro, and you can even have it be a integral parts of the story, which it most likely will. But also it'll open up some new avenues when it comes to gameplay and everything, and give the player something else to achieve or strive for. And I imagine, and we also might. This didn't make the list, but we probably will likely also get the return of skill points, which I think is a very good idea to have skill points return. But a brand new a brand new fresh from scratch collectible well, I think is very likely for a new Spyro game. But number 5 on this list, this is a most likely, that being the voice cast from the Spyro Reignited trilogy returning for this game. Especially because the Reignited trilogy wasn't that long ago. Oh, granted, it's been almost 10 years, which does seem like a lot, but but having the voice cast return from Reignited Trilogy, he does make a lot of sense, especially because the voice acting I thought from the Reignited Trilogy was pretty good for the most part. Or so having them come back, whether it be to voice returning characters or even some new characters, and you'll most likely have Tom Kenny returning as Spyro, uh, but having the Reignited Trilogy voice cast returning would be very cool indeed. Hey, number 6, and actually now that I go down this list, I think I'm switching very likely and most likely. So most likely is going to be the top, meaning it's probably guaranteed, and then very likely is it's very possible. And number 6 is definitely a most likely. And should be guaranteed, that being the return of Stuart Copeland to do the music for Spyro. Now, it's hard to imagine the Spyro games without the iconic music by Stuart Copeland. So having Stuart Copeland come back for this game should be guaranteed. Whether or not they'll actually get him back remains to be seen. I'm sure he'd love to do the soundtrack again, and he was willing to do it for the Reignited trilogy, um, but if you don't get Stuart Copeland back, which you should really make the push to get Stuart Copeland back, but having someone just as good do the music, I think would be passable. But if you really want that extra oomph and to really make the fans happy, then having Stuart Copeland return would be very much ideal for a potential Spyro 4. But number 7 on the list, and this is this is like very likely, he borders the line between very likely and somewhat likely, is returning NPCs, especially if we're in the Dragon Realms. Now, admittedly, Spyro 1 didn't have a lot of NPCs, so that's why this is somewhat likely. Because now, if we return to Avalar, there's a bit more breathing room, but having some of the NPCs who are very very iconic to the Spyro trilogy, especially in the second and third games. So having some of those very classic characters returning, and the NPCs returning to the Spyro game would be a great amount of fan service. It'd be awesome to see some of those characters again, especially because a lot of them were really fun and they really help flesh out the worlds within the original Spyro trilogy. So getting some of those NPCs back, I think, would be really, really cool. But now, number 9. This is probably a very likely, but also B, this technically was supposed to be the original plan for Spyro Into the Dragonfly before it got rushed. That being a team up between Nasty Nork and Ripto, two of the biggest Spyro enemies, minus the Sorceress. So I guess the Sorceress was just supposed to stay dead. Sorry, Sorceress. But having two of the big baddies, two of Spyro's biggest enemies going against him would be really cool. Teaming up and going against him. Like I said, it was supposed to be the original plan for Enter the Dragonfly, and even Spyro 3, he teased at it with the skill points in the epilogue when Ripto and Nasty Nork get together to address the quote unquote Spyro problem. It seemed very likely that the plan was going to be Nasty Nork and Ripto teaming up, which would be a really cool team up, having Nasty Nork and his size and bulk, well, teaming up with Ripto and his magic spells. Those, I think would be a very, very interesting, very deadly team. But at number 10 kind of contradicts number 9, but I could see it playing hand in hand if done in a certain way. That being either a brand new villain introduced or a different villain returning. And now the only other major bad guy I can think of returning for potential Spyro 4 would be Red from Spyro Hero's Tale. But if you do have a brand new villain, I could also see them forming an alliance with Nasty Nork and Ripto. Kind of similar to what they did with the Arkham Knight in Batman Arkham Knight, um, but having a new villain come back and team up with Nasty Nork and Ripto, I think would be interesting and a brand new threat to Spyro and friends. I think would be kind of cool. Well, this seems like a somewhat likely, especially if number 9 is what's happening. But if they don't go with number 9, which I feel like they really should, then number 10 kind of moves to very likely. So it does border on that line. But number 11, this is a most likely, that being introducing some new mechanics. It's the thing about Spyro games, a lot of them do introduce something new. Who obviously, in Spyro 1, you had Spyro's basic moveset. Spyro 2 added a hover, or as well as a couple other moves. Spyro 3 added not just the extra characters, but different vehicles and stuff like that for Spyro to pilot, such as like the submarine or the skateboard, or kind of to mix things up for Spyro. Oh, and even in later games, one of the big things that they add for Spyro, besides that stupid wing shield, is the different elemental breaths. So, whether it be bubble breath, electricity, whether it be the water breath, like in Hero's Tale, whether it be the different elemental breaths that Spyro had in the Legend of Spyro games. Having a new mechanic be introduced for or Spyro, especially he in this new game with new objectives, I think would be pretty cool, and it would add an interesting little twist. Now, if they kept his core mechanics from Reignited Trilogy and just brought them over, I don't think it'd be the end of the world, but excuse me, it would be kind of a missed opportunity. So I think having new mechanics would be a very good idea. Or actually, I just realized also I missed one. So, dial it back to number 8. How embarrassing. So we were at number 11, but now moving back to number 8. That being the return slash reintroduction of Cinder. Or this seems like a very likely, almost to most likely. For fans, they would love this. Cinder, her a very beloved Spyro character from the Legend of Spyro trilogy, slash in a way Skylanders. So having her come back, seeing how they do the new relationship between her and Spyro, if they carry it over from the previous games where they were kind of an item of sorts, where they had like a romantic relationship or at least teased at it. Some speculated that Cinder could be related to Spyro, like Spyro's sister or something like that. But I think love interest seems more likely when it comes to that. But having Cinder be reintroduced, even potentially having her be a villain like she was in The Legend of Spyro: A New Beginning, I think would be interesting. But a lot of people would love to have Cinder back, so we will see if Cinder does come back in a potential Spyro 4. But number 12, now that we got number 8 out of the way, number 12 is the return of Crush and Gulp. This seems like a somewhat likely, especially if we are getting Ripto back. Like, if you remember from Enter the Dragonfly, Crush and Gulp came back with him and had the ability to talk for whatever reason. But having Crush and Gulp come back as Ripto's henchmen, especially with Hasty Nork or in the fold, if they decide to go the team up angle, even Ripto alluded to who Crush. Begging for work from Nasty Nork in Magma Cone, which that's kind of a can of worms, but that's probably for a different time. That's for a different video or something like that. But having Crush and Gulp return, I think, would be really cool. And you could even change up their gameplay and everything, or give them something new, something a little bit different to combat Spyro with, to show that they learned from their mistakes in the previous game. But number 13 on this list is kind of going hand in hand with numbers 1, 2, and 8. That being a completely new playable character, or someone totally new, someone totally different being brought in. And it could be in the form of a returning character. This time they're playable, such as like Ember from Spyro Hero's Tale, or something like that. But now, or you can have a completely different, completely unique, completely new playable character that came out of nowhere and is just joining the cast now. Join the cast of characters. It'd be a little risky, but I think if done right, it could be very cool. But now on to number 14 for this list. Number 13 is a somewhat likely. Hey, this one, number 14, is a very likely. That being them making a joke at Spyro into the Dragonfly's expense. Crash 4 even did it in making jokes at like the other Crash games when Lani Lali has haven't you had more adventures or more battles with Cortex or something like that? So I imagine we'll probably get more of the same with Enter the Dragonfly. Hey, what the joke will be, we'll have to wait and see, but I think that'd be kind of funny. And then number 15, speaking of Crash so much, number 15 on this list would be a Crash Bandicoot cameo. Oh, now Spyro has cameoed in Crash games before. He had the cameo toward the end of Crash Twinsanity, flaming away Engine and Entropy from the treasure, and Dr. Embryo. But having Crash make a cameo, and do like the Crash things in a way, I think would be kind of cool. Whether they would go with his insane trilogy design or his Crash 4 design, and remains to be seen. Though, considering it'd probably be under Toys for Bob, they'd probably go with his Crash 4 design. Um, but seeing him make a cameo appearance in this game would be pretty cool. Well, especially to tease a potential Crash and Spyro team up game, except good this time. Sorry, Crash Orange, Spyro Purple. But nevertheless, that is going to do it for this list. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor: like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, and turn on those post notifications so you know every single time I upload a video so you never miss an upload. And let me know in the comment section below, what are your predictions for Spyro 4? Do you think it's going to be some of these things? Do you think it's going to be most of these things? And what type of predictions do you guys have? Please be sure to let me know in the comments. But in the meantime, until that time arrives, we'll have to wait and see if they do a Crash, not Crash 4, they already did a Crash 4. If they do a Spyro 4, I'm hoping that they will. Even if they do, it's probably going to be a little bit. But I'm holding out hope, man. I'm holding out hope. But in the meantime, thank you all so much for watching. I will see you guys later. Peace.